Welcome back to the Getting to Know Your Contract series. Of course, we're talking about real estate contracts here, and this is episode 13. So we're talking about title insurance. Ooh, sexy. I used to be president of a title company for about a decade, so this actually gets me very excited. So why is this such an important clause? And why is it so often ignored? We tend to give way too much deference or slack, or actually just get lazy as buyers and sellers in these transactions. But this is one of the most important things in your closing. Here is where you have the opportunity to not only select who pays for the title insurance coverage, right? And there's an option for seller picking the title company and therefore seller paying for the owner's policy. Buyer will always pay for their lender insurance policy. There's another option where the buyer pays for the closing company, like selects the closing company, pays for their owner's policy, pays for their loan policy. And then Miami-Dade has a special kind of a clause because they can kind of pick an endorsement or a continuation policy just for Miami-Dade County. But that's not the part that's so relevant for me in terms of teaching you here about your contract and why this is important. So here goes. The time for you to know if there is an issue that is going to prolong your closing is very dependent upon this clause. So if nothing is marked, if it's left blank, then at least 15 days before your closing, if you have a financed closing, you should be getting a title insurance commitment. You as a buyer should be getting a title insurance commitment by the title company. That's going to say what the title issues are. What's going to slow down the closing? It's going to say, hey, we need to pay off from here. We need to get an estoppel from the association. And hey, by the way, there's this weird mortgage that's not satisfied. There's this error in the legal description. Uh-oh, this person forgot to put in their marital status. There's going to need to be a probate of this. That's where you see all of the things that can slow down a closing. So it is important for you. I mean, as soon as you submit that earnest money deposit to the title company, within a few days, mark it on your calendar. 3 days later, ask for the title commitment because that's really going to present a clear picture of what's going to slow down the closing from the title side. If you're in a cash closing, they're only obligated to give it to you 5 days prior to closing. Well, guess what? 5 days isn't enough time to resolve many title issues. And so it's kind of in my opinion, a very weak clause, but be aware, put in more time. Say at least 20 days prior to closing, at least 30 days prior to closing, give me the title commitment because that way you know what's going to be required to get clear title to your property that you're purchasing. And also as a seller, it's going to make you aware like that about the issues that need to be taken care of quickly so that neither one of you become parties that are in breach of contract. So that's what I wanted to address with title evidence insurance. Also be aware that municipal lien searches are optional, but you should definitely get one. Why? A municipal lien search is different than a title search. A title search looks for what is recorded in the official records. A municipal lien search is actually a search that's done separately within municipalities where people call up and say, hey, are there any outstanding debts, things that need to be taken care of? And those are not always recorded. That's why it's different. That's why it's important. It's really, really important because if you do not know what liens are there and living and outstanding, your title policy is not going to protect you against water and sewer liens, revenue bond liens, special municipal assessment liens that all have to do with unrecorded obligations to pay money. So that's why it's really important to get those municipal liens. And there you go. This is why this often ignored paragraph is so essential for you to understand.